with D.
We're here with D. He's a local, we'll call him our local expert. So what's your view on homelessness around here?
There was a few different systems that were set up to make sure that the homeless were safe, and there was food and there was people keeping an eye on them. And then there was the fire last week, and that was an interesting night because the next day there was no homeless left in Camden.
This is news to me. So.
Yeah, no, hold on.
It was used as a moment to sanitise the town.
Hold on, we've got to roll that again.
Any of you smoke?
No. Right, sorry, let's say that again.
So what's your view on the homelessness in Camden?
Well, I'm ex-homeless myself, so I'm kind of sympathetic already. There was some systems in Camden set up to look after the homeless. There's a big homeless hostel just over there.
Oh, right.
The Victorian building is a beautiful building. It's been done up in the last few years to be able to serve the community. Last week there was, about 10 days ago, there was a fire in one of the shops.
Right.
And that was used as an excuse to sanitise the area. All of the places that people were sleeping rough are now boarded up, and you can't see anybody anymore.
That's where the bridge was boarded up. So is your view that it was sort of like a sinister tactic by the local authority rather than it was a genuine fire, or do you think?
Well, historically there's been fires that have been in Camden that have been used to refurb the market and things like that. So whether it was deliberately set or whether it was just used as an excuse to clear out the homeless people of the area, I'm not able to say.
No, of course. Well, we can all speculate. I think we're all entitled to that. But
can we go back to, you said that you're ex-homeless. How long ago was that, and how did that come about?
I spent a couple of years homeless, sleeping rough when I was a teenager, and then about 3 years ago I was involved in a big assault with the drug dealers on Camden Bridge, and was homeless about 3 months after that as well, because I couldn't pay rent to sort myself out.
And how did you overcome that? What did you do? What was the first step you took as being homeless? Where did you go? What did you do to protect yourself and get yourself out of being homeless?
Found an area that there wasn't lots of people about, turned a skip over, or one of the big biffa bins, turned them over and slept under that to make sure that nobody could see me and keep away from the elements.
We've been talking to people that obviously have never experienced homelessness today.
Yeah.
And when we ask them, what would you do if you became homeless? Their immediate reaction is, well, I'll go to a shelter.
Where's the shelter?
That's the key. That's the key question that we're asking.
They don't know where the shelter is right now. They're not going to know by the time they're on the street, so they're already at a disadvantage.
There was an argument that they made, because I asked the same question. I said, well, how would you know where it is? And they said that there's this perception that amongst the homeless there's like a community, and people share. So if you're homeless,
when you've got nothing, you share it.
Yeah. So they're saying that people would know on the street. If you didn't know, you would be able to inquire. And
if somebody was coming from polite society and found themselves dumped on the street after a couple of months of issue and not being able to pay their mortgage, they wouldn't approach somebody that was living on the street. They wouldn't feel comfortable. They wouldn't be safe. They wouldn't feel safe to do so.
Yeah.
In their eyes, the people that are on the street, that are walking the street and living on the street, are feral human beings, not part of society anymore.
Of course, yeah. And obviously you've experienced it, so your perception is from a very solid ground. I think the rest of us, and maybe the rest of the public, maybe have there's one side that is that they're a bit skeptical, and they feel that some homeless people are just on a hustle and they're choosing to be that way. What's your view on that?
I think that I've ever met 2 people that wanted to be on the street. Everybody else, they don't know how to get out of the situation they're in. The systems laid out by councils and governments, they say nice words, but if you haven't got a lot of social capital, you can't navigate the systems. They're so frustrating that you'll get escorted out of the building.
Is there anything that you would change about it? That I'm talking anything specific that, since you've been through it, is there any pitfalls or any broken parts of the system that you would change or you'd want to see changed?
Many parts.
Could you just maybe name one?
Well,
one or two?
just the very frontline services. There's no responsible council or governmental service out on the streets looking to help people. There's people that are on the streets that are mugging people and stealing to get put in jail for the night to get a warm bed and some food. The cigarette charges, the tobacco charges that have just gone up. People used to beg and borrow the money to get some tobacco. Now they're mugging people to get the money to get some tobacco because you can't get less than £10 worth of tobacco. When's somebody on the street going to be able to amass that amount of money?
So I think someone's argument would be, well, they shouldn't quit. Shouldn't they quit? I'm just saying because these are the things that someone with that kind of perspective would say. You know, because cigarettes, I think, would be deemed maybe as a luxury item, whereas food.
And my response to that would be, did you see what happened on the streets and to the street people when the legal drugs got made illegal?
No, actually, no.
People went mental. There was blood on the street, and people were just dealing with their withdrawal whichever way they could, which meant alcohol, which meant lots of people that don't care drunk on the street.
Let me take it to a different direction if I can. When someone becomes homeless, what is the barriers for stopping them going, for example, to the job centre, signing on and having a weekly income of some sort to keep them going for their tobacco?
So as soon as you say you're NFA, no fixed abode, you can't access services. You don't have paperwork, you don't have ID.
So is that a key problem?
Yeah.
Where
Huge.
so, for example, if there was a charity set up to provide an address that you can put down on paperwork, would that help?
That would be hugely helpful.
Why-
If people could access medical services easier, like proper official medical services. People are getting sick and dying on the street.
So if you were to go to the doctor or the job centre anywhere and made up an address, you'd have to provide proof of address.
But if you lie on a form, then everything can get taken away from you. You can be done for fraud. It's all about what laws are you willing to break.
So basically, they don't fit into the box.
The system doesn't actually join itself up to actually enable somebody to work themselves out of
That
the situation.
And that's my argument. Thank you.
Well,
What do you-
well, I mean, I think we've touched on all corners. So thank you very much,
No worries.
D.
Take care.
And yeah,
Thank you, D. Appreciate it.
thank you. Nice to meet you.